Alright, we're back. Back to it. What was I doing? Alright, so we had a test scenario so that we can see all the different zombies. Did that tell us much of anything? I guess it'll be a good place for us to be able to test turrets and other defenses pretty quickly. Yeah. Yep, I think it'll be good. Some of the things that I noted down, like things on the backlog here for these draft cases, we will want to do pretty soon. But in terms of the case at hand, I think we'll just move forward, and then the test scenario will be a good place to do like balancing of things down the road. Okay, so the thing that we need to do now, though, is visual appearance differences. Like, the zombies should look different, right? How are we going to do that? I mean, the pathfinding seems fine. It's fine as it was before. Sure. Yep. Nothing really to do, actually, to update the spawners to support new types. That's all stuff we've already done. Effort large. Yeah, so in case it wasn't clear, a lot of these cases that are in this project are things that I was like, okay, here's the vision for the game, right? Go AI and sketch out the things that we need to do to accomplish that. And I think, broadly speaking, it's good. I wouldn't necessarily render video. What do you mean? Oh, for your short video, yeah. Are you putting a? Is it just? Do you mean it is a short video, or do you mean it's like it's going to be a YouTube short? This is the problem when brands take over the names of things. It's unclear. Yeah, just saying it's done. Yeah, and markdown. Yeah, I got it. Now I was confused for a second because I thought you were talking about this list, but no, it makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, so right, I think it's Blender time. We're gonna figure out how to do this because I don't know about this. This is a short video, not YouTube. Oh yeah, online privacy. Yes, that is a thing. All right, it's Blender time. So let's open. We don't really have a model here for our zombie. I guess it's somewhere else. That's kind of weird. Why is it not in models? Is it not? Yeah, Blender 5 is out. I did update NixOS packages yesterday, so it's not. They haven't replaced the default Blender package with version 5. So when they do, I will update, or I will be updated. To be fair. Hey, thanks for the moderation, Brainless. What was it? Oh yeah, I was gonna go here and figure out where our the mesh is for the zombie. Oh, it's this. Is it this humanoid medium FBX? It could be. Yeah, you did help. Can we open that? Maybe we have to import FBX. Where are files? Documents? The image from version 5 is amazing. It's a dragon render. It looks very nicely done. I'm sure. I was looking at the release page for Blender 5. It's from the next open movie. Could be. So many folders. What are we doing? Tower defense. That's right. Assets, models, humanoid medium. So this is the model that we got from Open Game Art. Okay. And so that, get rid of things. So yeah, so this is our base mesh that we're using for the zombies and the survivors. You used to donate a lot for the movies. Blender is the software you paid more for. Sure. Yeah, I think it's funny. Blender is a piece of software that's been around for quite a while, and I have like installed it, had it, messed around with it a lot back when it was all keyboard shortcuts and very little UI, but I never really did much with it. Like this on stream this year is probably the most I've actively been in Blender in that condensed amount of time. But yeah, so what I need to do is we need to have a material now. I know how to do things, I swear. Materials, where are you? No. Constraints, physics, object. Why? Oh, because there's the mesh. Okay. Oh, the CEO of Blender's stepping down? I don't know about any of that. How do we do things? This is something where we can probably just like drag and drop something, isn't it? Let's see if I go boop boop boop. You know what's nice? I think like my home folder here is safe to actually show on stream, so I'll pull that down and we'll go navigate to documents. That's a folder. My repos, tower defense, assets, textures. So we do actually have 2 zombie textures, to be fair. So I could use either, right? Can I no, I can't do that. How do I Is this the workspace? This is not the workspace I want. Yeah, I know. How do I modeling, sculpting, UV editing, texture painting, shading, but not world, object. Okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Okay, and then if I drag in, can I drag this in? Yes. Oh yeah, I probably have to be in a different Oh, it's thinking. Oh boy. About that didn't work. Viewport shading. Viewport shading, material preview. Yeah. What do I feel like I've applied? Okay. I'm only slightly confused. Yeah. Okay. So what does it feel like I've managed to apply the skin to the world? Yeah. That's this material. Use nodes, yes. Character medium skin. Can you tell, can you see all the years of dabbling with Blender surfacing and my inability to apply a texture to a mesh? Oh, there we go. So, great. I did it. Great success. So the whole purpose of this was that I was thinking it would be cool to be able to do like I think a thing that we can do is we can go into texture paint mode, and we can do fun things here, right? I'm not going to keep this. I'm just messing around to like get a feel for what's going on here. So when we look at this, do we see that happening on? Oh, I'm erasing. I see. I understand. Oh, good. We can't undo. Okay. Cool. All right. So I undid one too many times, but anyway. So, okay, we have blur, we have airbrush, we have colors. So if we wanted to like airbrush some pink onto the shirt, that was not intentional, but yeah, we can see it in the texture, right? This is, and again, I'm not actually trying to do anything yet. I'm just trying to get a feel for doing the thing. But yeah, we'll undo. We'll have to mess with settings probably. But yeah, so if I wanted to do, okay, is there? Okay, radius, strength, mix, brush texture, texture mask, mirroring, fall off. Okay, we can make a new texture. What does that do? Show texture and texture tab. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Cool. We want maybe not. Okay. Interesting. What I want to understand, I guess what I would need to do here is we go back to textures. So first of all, what does Zombie C look like? I'm curious. Right, if we drag in Zombie C. I've forgotten. Okay, so here's Zombie C. Right, so if we want to make a Zombie B, as a copy of Zombie A, we can drop this in. Oh, get in there. Okay. And then if I start editing this, right, if I go into texture paint mode and so there's fill the current color invisible on unmasked surfaces. So what'll this do if we want to have like a red shirt? Oh, yeah, that filled it all right. That is a lot of fill. Mask paints a selection on parts of the mesh to be unaffected by other brushes. Ooh. Missing stencil detect. Oh, so we would have to do something for that to work. Paint hard? Okay. Okay, this is something where I probably should get the drawing tablet out. Let's see. Okay. There we go. I can right click and we can change the radius. So yeah, I could do something like this, or we could do if we're just doing like color swap stuff, it might be more effective to do in an image editor, right? So what I'm curious about though is, okay, so this image is just a copy of this. So I'm gonna make some silly edits, and then what I want to do is can I just save out this image? Yeah, just save. Oh, there's also a save as, right? So if I go here, now I can see those edits in this image as well, right? Okay. So now we have a way of being able to do texture painting. As in, it's all the way has existed, but I figured out, right, what I need to do to be able to do the steps to do that. I think what's nice though is I forgot there was another image here that we got from the set of images textures from Open Game Art. So I think for now I'm just gonna bail on Blender. We're not gonna save any of that. I'm gonna ditch Zombie B, and we're just going to swap in for a couple of the zombies. We're gonna put in the other texture. I think that'll be enough. One of the things I want to do is I want to add content for the game to be able to kind of stretch out how we're experimenting and experiencing the game mechanics, right? To be able to understand what's working and what's not. And then we refine the game mechanics, and then we add more content, right? So rather than trying to do all the things all at once. Okay, so config enemies. So maybe our scout and sprinter zombies will... let's think about this. So let's look at the enemy types here. So tank and boss are the ones that have a lot more health and a lot more damage. So I think having those at least visually distinct makes a lot of sense. So tank and boss, we will change. Boss here will get a different skin material. Wait, that's the target. Oh yeah, I have to double click. There we go. Okay, so visual property skin material. We create a new shader material. Canvas set? No. Probably shader material or standard material. Standard material. And this one will get a texture that will be loaded from here. It will be zombie P. And is that how I want to do that? Yeah, that looks right. Let's save the material because we're going to apply it to a couple things. So those go in assets. Are we putting those in? Yeah, we are putting those in the textures folder since they're just the material to wrap the texture. Zombie B, C. Let's see, right? There we go. And then so we have that assigned to the skin material on boss zombie, and then we're going to do tank as well, right? So double click tank. Quick load. Zombie C. Okay, so now if I load up the test scenario, we should see a couple different types of zombies spawn in. There we go. There's our boss zombie, and then we'll also have a tank zombie at some point spawn in. There we go. That one's a tank zombie and a bunch of bosses. It randomly selects from the pool, right, until it satisfies the conditions of the wave, which in this case is spawn everything. So we'll get a mixture. But yeah. Oh, that's interesting, though. What took out that turret? Is this turret taking damage? The turrets themselves aren't going to do anything to the zombies because they don't do a lot of damage now that we've tweaked the hit points. Okay. I was kind of worried because in the last time we ran this, all the turrets disappeared. I'm assuming that maybe that was still while zombies were spawning, and so the ones that were walking past took them out on the way, because that is the thing the zombies will do. Anyway, okay, so that's good. Have we done enough to consider this done? Okay, so we have all the different types of zombies in. I guess a thing we haven't done is we have not done the one explicit behavior that a zombie has, which is that the sprinter zombie is supposed to have occasional speed bursts. How do we want to implement that? I think there's basically two ways, right? One way is we make a different version of the enemy that has the behavior, and then we use that version of the enemy for the sprinter. The other way would be in the code for the base enemy, we have like a boolean or some kind of setting of like maybe like an energy pool, right? Of like in other words, more settings that could apply for different kinds of zombies that we will specifically set to different values for the sprinter. So it'd be something like a I guess it would be one, it would need to be something that there's a weight that applies to a random value, right? So what are the chances that this thing will happen? 1. 2, yeah, I like the idea of it being like an amount of energy. How would that work? I guess there's a couple things we could do. So there's a more complicated thing maybe where we have like the enemies have like a reserve, and then there are potentially multiple conditions that could apply that would trigger it, and they would be able to do different things. That's maybe more complicated than we need right now. We could have something that's just simply every so often there is a chance that the zombies will go faster for a period of time, and we will temporarily wherever in the code where we're reading the speed, right? Because the zombies have a speed. So in entities, enemies, enemy.gd, right? This is where we have all this defined. We have a movement speed, right? And so we use movement speed, we override movement speed. Let's get rid of that search. There we go. With the speed from the resource, but we can also in update navigation, we use movement speed to dictate what our velocity is. So we could have something where we will have a chance on some, not every frame, but every something. Do we have any kind of timers on this? Yeah. Okay, so I think in thinking about this a little bit, when I started to think about the idea of there would be a timer, it would interface with all the existing mechanism, but it would do something different. That sounds to me like something where we would make a separate component that would go inside of the scene tree of the enemy that would have that behavior, rather than changing any of this code, right? So we would make a component that we would simply be able to drop in under the enemy, and it would be like, oh, the parent, if it has a movement speed, that component can be configured with a chance of every 10 seconds there is a 10% chance that the movement speed will increase to by a factor of X, right? And all of that's like a self-contained component that interfaces with a parent that just has a movement speed attribute, right? You don't need to know any of the information in here. You only need to know and change a single value based on a set of values. And that is what I was kind of thinking about as I was talking and looking at the code. That tells me that's something that would be something we could make as a component. Yes. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go back over here. So we have this base enemy template. So the pattern, kind of the structure here, is that in the entities, we have different kinds of entities: obstacles, enemies, scrap, targets, and then we have templates and we have concrete. And it's kind of blurry, right? But the idea is that you could directly use a template. Maybe. Yeah, like target, base target. We just use that. It's a template, but we're currently directly using it. Maybe at some point we just say, no, there are not any other concrete entities that are targets. And so base target is just target something. I don't know. We'll see, right? This is all exploring the space of how we apply these patterns as we're building the game, right? So I think for now, what I will do is I will create a folder called concrete. And so the pattern here is going to be that we're going to create a scene that is going to let's do this. So if we go to base enemy, we have an enemy scene. We want to create a new inherited scene, right? So it's going to inherit all the nodes of the existing enemy scene. We're going to save this in entities, enemies, concrete, and we're going to call this sprinter zombie, right? And so this is identical. Like if you, in fact, if we go over to the config for the sprinter, we'll just change the scene right now, right? We'll quick load. We'll use sprinter zombie, right? But that isn't going to change anything, right? Because the sprinter zombie scene simply inherits from the base enemy scene. But now what we want to do is we're going to create a script. And so we put our like components in a place. Where do we put them? In common. So I think I will. I guess we're doing separate folders. So I will create a folder. And we're going to call this sprint. And we're going to create a script. And this is going to be sprint.gd. And this will be a node. And we'll give this a class name. Sprint component. Although I think we have kind of a nomenclature for these things now. Right? So we call it component underscore thing. A nomenclature is not the traditional word, but we have a standard, I don't know, a convention. There we go. A convention is maybe a more typical word. So sprint speed multiplier Hey, I said we'd have a multiplier. Stamina cost per second. We're not going to have like a stamina pool, I think. It's going to be odds based. Maybe. Actually, I think for balancing, having stamina for sprinting will make sense. Right? Because otherwise... you could get really unlucky. Do we care about that? I don't think we need to model that, right? So sprint chance. For decision check. How long should you sprint for? That feels like that should be something that is a configurable amount. I don't think we need a cooldown because random chance will take care of that. So the sprint chance probably... let's do export var sprint decision interval. Yeah, so this is how often the timer triggers. So every 5 seconds from the AI generated number, every 5 seconds there's a 30% chance that the zombie will sprint. Think about that. I don't know, 5 seconds seems pretty short. Maybe every 15 seconds there is a 20%, a 10% chance. It's gonna depend. So I think our levels right now are fairly small. I think the chance has to be pretty high, and it's a sprinter, so it's moving pretty fast. I think something like that actually might be good. We'll start with that, right? We need a value to indicate whether we're currently sprinting or not. Original speed, we want to say we have a sprint timer. No, we have a decision timer. Look at this. So, do we like this code? So we'll have a decision timer. It will have a wait time that is the decision interval. It's not one shot. It is auto start. So as soon as we construct it... Actually, how does that work? Ignore the issue with the events for a second. If true, the timer will start immediately when it enters the scene tree. After the timer enters the scene tree, this property is automatically set to false. I don't know that that's necessary. Well, no. Okay, yeah, because we're gonna add child. When we add child, that I was thinking, is this gonna actually work? But it will, because it won't be in the scene tree until we add child. So for connect, we need to do this differently. Timeout connect on decision timer timeout. Okay. Yeah, I know, but why would you do that? Can't you just use randf? And then just use sprint chant? Yeah, that. And then we have a function called start sprint that says is sprinting yes. Movement component. That would be cute if we had like a movement component that we could interface with. That's not how this works. We are going to assume something here. We're going to say movement speed is get parent movement speed. Original speed is movement speed. We're going to change the movement speed of the parent to use the multiplier. We are going to... Does this work? yield, get tree, create timer, sprint duration, timeout. Yeah, yield was removed in Godot 4. Use await. Does that work? Can't we? Do we even need? Yeah, we do need to do that. I mean, sure. Is sprinting false, and then we reset the movement speed? Can you do this? Oh, there's literally an example in the comments of doing this. That's cool. Neato. Okay. I'll take it. Two things. All of that code that the AI generated is indented for spaces for some reason. And we should add some comments. Sprint component. Come on, AI. I know you want enable sprinting behavior for entities, allowing them to temporarily increase their movement speed. Would you like to say more? No, that's fine. Okay, so now we use it. I think one thing I want to do is I want to add some logging. There we go. That'll be helpful. And then we want to go back to Godot. And so now we have our sprinter zombie, which I will rename to make it clear what's going on here. And then we add a child node. And this is going to be our sprint component, right? And we get all these defaults that we could override if we wanted to. And then double checking something here. Yeah, it's called movement speed. So a way that this does not obey convention in terms of this sprint component is that a lot of the other way the components work is they interact with other components that are on the parent. In fact, you saw the AI auto-completion coding was suggesting doing something similar where it's like looking for a movement component. We didn't build a movement component for the enemy, but we could. I think that's especially interesting because we might have other... Let's think about this for a second, right? So we have movement speed here, and we only use it here to derive this velocity for navigation. What about for the target? The target has a panic behavior. It's not exactly movement. If we look at the panic behavior code, it does have a move speed. So this could be something where the panic behavior would interface with a movement component in the same, it would have that same interface that sprint does. So then we would put, I don't know, it doesn't really work because, well, we'd have to change things. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it's necessary right now, the way things are. I think maybe in the future, a thing I've been thinking about, let me share a thing I've been thinking about this last week. It was actually as I was playing Whiskerwood, I was thinking, would it be cool if the survivors did a little bit more? So they still wouldn't fight back, but when you're in the game and you're placing things, instead of it instant placing defenses, the survivors would actually path out and build the defenses. Like you would plan them, and they would go out and actually construct them, and it would take them time, and they would be vulnerable while doing so. I don't know if that would be fun or annoying. But you would have the situation where maybe the waves there's time in between waves, so that you have time to go out and build defenses. Maybe you can tell survivors also to repair. It wouldn't be an automatic thing. Hold on, did I put something? Oh no, yeah, I haven't put it in the project yet. Kind of ideating on like what we would do, kind of what the breakdown of that work would be. Anyway, so that's the thing I've been thinking about. Where, yeah, in that case, the survivors would have like actual movement besides the panic behavior, and then maybe it starts to make more sense to have like a movement component that's shared between the zombies and the survivors. So I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so we made our sprinter zombie. We've added it to the T-res file for the sprinter zombie. The scene for the sprinter zombie now has this sprint component, which I'll leave that name. So now let's go into our test scenario, and we're going to change the wave, and we're going to change the number of all the zombies except for the sprinters to be 0. And hopefully that doesn't break anything. So we can just see the sprinters by themselves. I'll run that. Why is someone talking to me? Okay. All right, test scenario. Ooh. I don't know. Are we? So one thing, this path to target is reachable. Definitely should not be debug level log. This should be maybe like a trace. Let's filter for sprint. Oh, sprinting. Okay, that's interesting. We see has ended sprinting, but not started. Maybe that's just a matter of the having too many logs. That's odd. Oh, starting. Let's have. Ooh, actually. Oops. Go back to output. Search for sprint. There we go. Okay, this is a filtering issue. Oh, and let's go back to the game. Did I somehow stop the game? Okay, whoopsie. Let's start it. I mean, obviously right now we're not going to see anything. I'm just kind of thinking about how we can better visualize how this is working. I guess let's make the world bigger. Which is easy enough to do, right? We'll just change the scale of the ground. Or change the mesh. Yeah, there we go. We'll change the mesh to be like 10 times bigger. then the collision shape also. How do we... Oh, right, hold on. So, ground, mesh, create collision shape, create, delete this one, move that inside of there. Okay, there we go. I know how to do things. Okay, now we'll have a much bigger area for zombies to spawn in. Zombies. Where are you? That's unexpected. Why does it say 2 of 2? Okay. That's fun. 4x? Yeah, sure. Zombies are sprinting, but they're not going anywhere. They're not pathing. Why? To be fair, I don't know. I think this is a bigger map than we've ever tried. So it's a bit different. But yeah, why? Let's clear filtering. Let's go to the beginning here, and we didn't have any errors. Lots of logs of things. Okay. We did rebake the navigation mesh. Yeah, the collision stuff is on the static body 3D, not the collision shape, so it wouldn't have broken anything when we deleted it and recreated it. Enemy spawner, yeah, is associated with the ground. Debugger. Errors. Baking interrupted. Source geometry is suspiciously big for the current cell size and cell height in the nav mesh resource bake settings. If baking does not crash the engine or fail, the resulting nav mesh will create serious pathfinding performance issues. It's advised to increase the cell size or cell height in the nav mesh resource bake settings. Okay. Good to know. Cell size. Increase cell size. We can try that. Let's see, main menu is not what I want. I want main something though. Is it this one? Yeah. Cell size is pretty small. What if it was 1? Let's clear. Run again. I am concerned that might break other things. Yay. All right. So now if we zoom out, do we see the zombies changing their speed? Yeah, I saw a sprint there. Okay, cool. So That is the demo. Excuse me. Now let's make that 3. Let's make that a little bit more likely. Let's make the duration a little bit longer. Let's check. Yeah, every 5 seconds is fine. And we go back to the game, and we just main menu, start game, test scenario. Watch this guy. Okay, he didn't sprint. He's sprinting. Okay, the sprint might be a little too long now. Maybe 2 was better. Okay, let's also add more more zombies to the test scene. Wave 1. Let's add 50 zombies, 50 sprinter zombies. Okay, and we'll see how that is, how that looks when we come back from the break, which is going to happen right now. So I'm going to go stretch my legs. I'll be back in like 3 minutes, and we'll continue on. So.